culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on the fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
In this year's owners' meetings, not much has changed in the NFL landscape, but there were a few big decisions made. In an attempt to massage the egos of the refs union, the motion to make roughing the passer reviewable was rejected. It doesn't matter. We all knew it was going to be like reviewing pass interference a few years ago, where only a play or two was overturned and blatant PI wasn't because reasons. You will, however, see more potential ref ball and players with the number 0 on the field. There will also be no gradual cuts down to the final roster in the preseason from 90 players, which should keep starters fresh for a probable wave of injuries in week 2 of the season. Speaking of changes that no one wants, there's a chance that Thursday Night Football will have flex scheduling. It's more than likely going to be up for vote in May, and would give teams at least 15 days notice of a change from Sunday to Thursday. This would be terrible for the game, but remember, the dollar is what drives the NFL. TV rights fees are far more important to the league than the fans, and we all know it. It'll probably be reality barring a miracle. On to the NFC's moves. Life without Brady. There's the off chance he's going to sign somewhere in July or August to troll us all, but that place won't be Tampa Bay. Instead, they will take their ring and pawn it off for a rather painful rebuild. Bucs fans will now get to experience the Baker Mayfield show. His star has fallen off dramatically after a disastrous 2022. Same goes for Chase Edmonds at running back. If there's any consolation, they did get Jamel Dean, Levante David, and Anthony Nelson extended, but if it's between the choice of Baker or Kyle Trask at QB, with how awful last year was, and with Devin White requesting a trade, it was nice knowing you.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Kalijah Kancey, defensive end, Pittsburgh.
Hail to Pitt. After shedding Donovan Smith, I figured they'd go tackle to replace him, but Kancey fills a critical role as well. Him and Vita Vea on the defensive interior? Better bulk up in your offensive lines if you're in the NFC South. It's not what it was in the Super Bowl year, but that defense can still destroy hopes and dreams. As long as you manage to keep Devin White. And he plays up to potential, of course. Battle of the century is on our doorstep. Baker Mayfield versus Kyle Trask. The privilege of winning 6 games on the year or winning 7 of them. It ain't Brady and it might not even be famous Jameis, but Baker won the battle all but by default. He did well, but what about the Bucs themselves? Last year they were a complete mess, and are all but picking up the pieces after several all-in pushes. Shards of that greatness are still here, but they're either broken down shells of themselves or a Mike Evans sitting here wondering what he has to do to win again. I don't think it's gonna happen with Todd Bowles as your head coach, just a hunch. It's the same question as New Orleans. Can they stay healthy? Now for your regularly scheduled ailments. Russell Gage out for the year and Ryan Jensen facing what is probably the end of his career. What a damn shame, he was so good as a center. This is the weakest NFC as a whole I've seen in a long time. We've gone from Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, and more to Jalen Hurts and maybe some other things. This is going to lead to some wonky results, I know it. First off, I believe there's a repeat winner in the NFC East. Philly takes it thanks to their offense. Sorry, Dallas. The NFC North, I'm going to kill myself in the future for it, but I'm picking Detroit. I think the Lions do it this year. Think that's crazy? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. The only other serious contender here is New Orleans, and I don't trust them to stay healthy. NFC West, all things considered, is Seattle's to lose. This could change if Bosa plays and Purdy stays healthy, so I have them in a wildcard spot. The other 2 slots go to Dallas and Minnesota. As I said though, the final spots are anyone's guess. And that's the majesty of the game itself. Enough talk. Let's get to the football. Oh, Vikings, will you ever find a way to not break your fan spirits? You've been doing it pretty much every season of your existence, and you did it again today. Kirk Cousins was balling in the first half. 273 yards of passing against a team struggling to find an identity. Should be an easy win, right? Do you know what team you're watching here? This O-line can't perform for shit. Cousins is getting destroyed in the pocket. Are you all that shocked that he's coughing up the ball every chance he gets? No presence in the running game, and oh boy, another red zone INT by Cousins. On goddamn you. He took a while to start out, but Baker managed to hold his own and play the role he does best. The underdog. He carves up a Vikings defense still recovering from Donatell syndrome and gets them the lead. Minnesota does the time-honored tradition and just folds. They do little on offense in the fourth quarter and lose. To a team expected to do next to nothing this season, they decide that this was the time to reinforce stereotypes. No big contract and no win. I'd be pissed too, Justin. Is this really what Chicago was hyping up? Is this a joke? This is literally the same damn shit they've been giving us for years. Fans and media promised us a quality offense with a potential MVP candidate. Reality is Justin Fields holding onto the ball for 6 seconds of play and screen passes ad nauseum. Tampa Bay was the real revelation here. To be fair, that's easy to do against the Bears. They routed their opponent on all fronts. Mike Evans became God again. And he's proved that he still has it. Their defense relentless in the pass rush. It's hope after being left for dead. That hope is something that's been quashed in Chicago. Any momentum has gone south faster than snowbirds to Florida for winter. Their ire has new names. Luke Getsy, Matt Eberflus, and Justin Fields. Yeah, I don't think Fields is it, Chicago. Another quarterback prospect successfully ruined. Tampa Bay, you've done well for yourself so far this year. You look like an interesting team to watch as things rebound after whatever the hell last season was. You don't want to be left for dead, but Philly did more than enough of that to you. Don't get too offended, it has nothing to do with you boys. The Eagles do this to many teams in their path. That defense is going to completely destroy anything you try to throw at them. An impenetrable force that only serves to consume more bodies for the war machine. You'll be tush-pushed off a cliff as DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts wave at you falling to your death. Everything comes up Eagles. Jalen wisely arm punts the ball to the 1-yard line so the defense can score points of their own. Exactly as they wrote it up. Perfect for Scorigami. On to their next victim. And many more to come. In an incredibly surprising turn of events, Derek Carr will not be missing multiple weeks with a shoulder injury. Call it mutant healing or something. Don't forget, Alvin Kamara's back from suspension as well. Too bad it didn't do a damn thing for their fortunes against the Bucs. That defense of theirs came to play, and New Orleans had absolutely no answers for it. Out of all their drives, about half of them gained less than 5 yards. And that's if the turnovers weren't killing them. That's what we call suffocation, boys. This is the Baker Mayfield revival. And his spirals and gunslinging will make this a slow, agonizing death for the Saints fans in attendance. Perhaps next time, Pete Carmichael will do things like competently game plan and utilize the talent he has on his offense. But that's a pipe dream. All you get is Baker Mayfield dancing on your hospital bed. It's kinda hypnotic if we're being honest. Tampa Bay's brought back the creamsicle uniforms this week. What that also means is that they will also play like those awful Bucs teams as well. I kid, this had a lot more to do with Detroit's utter crushing of whatever was Tampa's spirit. Dan Campbell went out onto the field and put every single member of the Bucs offense in the camel clutch. He would break their backs and force them to submit to his might. Jared Goff in the passing attack humming like a bird against a unit that was simply bested on most drives. Sorry, Tampa, it's nice of you to show up and fight, but you'll need a lot more than that to beat a group like the Lions. The simulation is broken. The long-mocked Detroit squads are vanishing into thin air. The Lions are 5-1 and have a shot at the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're not just winning games, they're convincingly winning. And that goes a long way. All you can do is keep it up. And keep feeding Dan Campbell. His hunger is insatiable. Rooting for Atlanta is the equivalent of getting as close as you can get with the girl of your dreams. You're about to have a passionate makeout session with her, but it's a distraction to be hit repeatedly in the groin. They're 1 or 2 things away from being a real contender, yet they never ever make it easy on themselves. Incredible talents littered throughout the roster, but like Bijan, they never use them. At least they gave us an excuse this week saying he had an illness. So why wasn't he on the injury report? Consider this the opening salvo to a comedy of errors. It wasn't even who wanted to lose the game. It was more a race where both teams kept landing face first on explosives. Desmond Ridder has no soul. Fumbles in the red zone. Fantastic. Tampa doesn't want to be left out in the cold, so why not counter with a horrific fumble of their own deep in Bucs territory? Atlanta is just so kind, though. They'll get it to the 1-yard line and then castrate themselves. Why do you keep doing this, Ridder? Every fucking time. Atlanta's defense is at least balling, so they're somehow still alive. They make the wise decision to not reach the red zone. And Younghoe Koo is at least not going to fumble everything away. But you know who does? The rest of the Falcons' offense. Long-ass drive, dicing the Bucs down the field, and then Desmond Ridder. Why the fuck did you slow down, dude? Please stop. I'm tired. They're so incompetent that they are literally on their knees begging Tampa to take this game. Please, please win it. We need to be poverty. Sadly, the Falcons' defense did not receive transmission. They're still balling. And after endless Herculean efforts, they stopped Tampa from doing much of anything besides tie the game. Simple advice, do not go in the red zone again, Falcons. It will be nothing but pain. Let young Waku bail you out.
The kick. It's up. It's out. It's through.
Can you please stop making this so damn hard for yourselves? This was one of the sloppiest games I've seen since last week. The Falcons are leading the NFC South? How the fuck does Arthur Smith keep escaping his own incompetence? I'm not even angry, it's incredible. What franchise with concerning issues will pull through on Thursday Night Football? The Buccaneers, who are jammed in neutral on offense and unable to move? Or the Bills, with offensive struggles of their own as well as injury woes? The solution to this dilemma? Home cooking. In Buffalo, Josh Allen returned to Atlas holding up the earth on offense. It was a solid bounce-back game minus the deflection interception that tied the game up. And having to go into the blue tent for a hot minute, thank God he's okay. But anything Josh did was equaled by the defense. Constantly pinned near their own end zone by excellent punting. Baker and company eaten alive by 1,000 tiny bites. The offensive woes for Tampa linger on, simply because they were in a full Nelson for most of the damn game. The Bills were burying their opponent alive. Yet whenever they tried to shovel the dirt back in, they kept falling in the damn hole. A prolonged and incredibly frustrating Bucs touchdown drive had them within one score. This is miserable enough, I'll save you the trouble. Buffalo won the game. Tampa's now lost their third in a row, and things are getting quite concerning on their front. Kind of like the final pass. Is anyone gonna bother to get near that Hail Mary? It's a football, not a hand grenade. Sometimes when you get two mid-tier franchises that engage in warfare, you get a match for the ages. Call it a combination of excellent play and exposing the flaws of each team, but when the Bucs and Texans dueled in Houston, it was a special event. Both squads flashing the talent that either brings hope to the future or harkens to championships past. Baker Mayfield's revenge tour will continue on with haste as he dices up his opposition. But his rival will more than rise to the occasion. CJ Stroud is destroying worlds, making the Bucs secondary look terrible with dimes aplenty. Deep balls to Noah Brown and Tank Dell? Absolutely effortless. Potentially transcendent talent that makes a team certainly forget about previous quarterbacks. The sky fight is on. A showcase of underdogs strutting their stuff in front of an eager crowd. Touchdowns shared in the fight as it's all tied up at 30. Houston pushes down the field in response again, but they're too far from the goal line to counter. It's time for a field goal. Only issue is that Houston's without a kicker. Miami Fairbairn's out for the game and they're down to emergency options. But out of this adversity comes greatness. You've heard of fat guy touchdown. Now introduce yourself to running back field goal. Dare Agunbowale's doing yeoman's work and then some. A true legend. The defense has finally managed to stop the tide, albeit temporarily. Tampa Bay has ambitions all their own. They don't just want to tie, they want to win. Baker's doing all he can to make it happen, saving the day repeatedly with great throws to receivers. The one fumbles in the red zone, which the Bucs fortunately recover. The play stood as called when reviewed, and Todd Bowles decided to play with fire, using one of his timeouts instead of running the clock down 10 seconds. The Peter principle in action, and it might mean nothing in the end.
Houston up by 3. Shotgun for Mayfield. End zone! Kane Otten! Touchdown! Buccaneers go in front!
Baker wants blood. And with limited time, it's all but sealed. There's only one problem. CJ Stroud.
6 defensive backs in there for the Buccaneers. Stroud looking. Deep ball! Hold in! Takedown!
This guy's a fucking machine. That coverage or not, Stroud's going to will them single-handedly.
Stroud to the end zone! Touchdown! Takedown!
CJ Stroud take a bow. This is the kind of game that puts a player into the elite echelon. Houston, you have your quarterback. He set the rookie record for passing yards in a game and he set it in style, usurping a win from a team that had it locked down. Tampa Bay, no offense, but a team that had a running back field goal should automatically win. Don't feel too bad there. To think Lovie Smith fucking up the tank of tanks was seen as a detriment. May have been their greatest blessing. A battle of two reeling teams, but only one managed to truly overcome their woes. Tennessee had roughly one drive of successful offense, and that was it. Them's the breaks of starting Will Levis full time. You get the eventual growing pains. It happens. The Buccaneer defense took a rookie quarterback and manhandled him like they were the dominant group of old. Men that took a rebuilding squad in denial and turned them into the epitome of a rebuilding squad. Simply the better team throughout the game. And Baker guided them right to the promised land. It wasn't the prettiest contest in the world, but with this win, Tampa Bay does more than enough to get into striking distance of the NFC South. It's a glorified anthill, but it's still better than nothing. The Bucs will take it. San Francisco is on a revenge tour after suffering a few humiliating losses over the past month or so. Who's the first victim of their wrath on the docket? Tampa Bay. Sorry, Bucs, you picked the short straw of the bunch. The Niners are going to make you try and outgun them in an arms race, and you're a few weapons short of an arsenal. It was going to be a near impossible task to win any way you looked at it. But with a healthy 49er offense, that secondary of yours is not only going to get battered, it will fall apart. Brock Purdy's back to making incisions against blown coverages aplenty all game long. Baker tries, but he can't power through. San Francisco wins easily and retakes a one-game lead on their division. It's good to bounce back to old form. Nothing against you, Tampa, it just happens. You'll have other chances. There haven't been many surprises in this NFL season, as order has been the name of the game. However, there's one question many scholars might ask. How the hell do the Indianapolis Colts keep winning? There might be a few reasons. One being their defense. It's doing a fantastic job of holding opponents at bay. And despite Shaquille Leonard's talents being sapped by injuries, they've neutralized most things thrown at them. The easy schedule they have might be an asterisk, but Tampa Bay isn't exactly a slouch of an opponent. Or they aren't in theory. For whatever reason, the Buccaneers just never had a solution for anything Indy threw at them. I will admit they're injured to hell in the secondary, but the whole defense has been sloppy as of late. Any chance to recover to tie will be squandered. Tampa Bay will get it back to one score. The Colts are giving them chances to win. Yet every opportunity turns into a 30-yard game by Indianapolis on 4th and 1. It's more frustrations to go with the continued frustrations. And it will only go on as Todd Bowles continues to throw his own players under the bus. What's that? Tampa has another chance, you say?
This is two-down territory here. Mayfield, football's loose. Who's got it? Indianapolis has recovered.
There's a reason why they've lost 6 of 7. Yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you. The Indianapolis Colts have a record over 500. They're currently holding a fucking playoff spot. I can't believe it either. Some good work by Shane Steichen and company. Only if Jim Irsay wasn't an entire circus of scatterbrained takes, I managed to take them seriously. This was a game that fit Tank Division like a glove. Two teams in the middle of death spirals clinging on to dear life. At least that's the case for the Buccaneers. Carolina's just dead. Don't even try to resuscitate them, this is a benevolent form of mercy. It's been a good bit since I've seen an offense so pathetic. Most teams will have some form of inept blocking, no receiver separation, and middle school scheming. It's very rare to have it all happen at once. We found the fucking holy grail. Tampa Bay was doing their damnedest to lose this game. They were like a dad trying to underhand a ball to a 2-year-old, but Carolina kept whiffing at these soft tosses. These are the Panthers we've come to laugh at. The outcasts that everyone fucks with on a daily basis. It'd be sad if they didn't do every single thing to themselves. The Bucs had lost 6 of 7, but the failure of their opponent was too strong. We hunger for blood. This is Carolina's version of the first overall pick. We've only got 5 weeks left in the season from hell itself. That means the playoffs are about to be seen as we crest over the hill. And then the race to the finish will truly begin. The NFC is much more slanted towards the top. Philly still remains the number 1 seed despite their loss. But San Francisco and Detroit are gaining on them fast. As the Clown in the Army Battalion, Atlanta is 4th in Tank Division. Dallas should be in a top 4 spot, but they're stuck in a division with the Eagles. The other 2 wildcard spots are a 4-team race. The Vikings and Packers claim positions for now, but the Rams and Seahawks are right on their tail. Right behind them, the Buccaneers and Saints are knocking on the door of Tank Division. and the Bears and Giants are currently in a combination of long-term planning and extremely slim chances to make noise. This is the playoff situation, and the madness is only going to amplify. There's only one rule, and sadly the Panthers didn't follow it.
Don't get eliminated!
Winner of this game will hold superiority over Tank Division. This is one of the most damning testaments to how painful the NFL has become. An actual division of an elite American league will be held by its version of an old lion or the scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. If only Atlanta had a brain. Passable quarterback play, proper scheming. The hell is that? Easy touchdown for Tampa, but remember this is Atlanta. What do you mean they actually threw the ball to Kyle Pitts? Yep, that's it, someone's getting killed in the locker room. Both teams want to lose. Tampa Bay's out here tossing the ball 5 yards behind the damn line of scrimmage on a 4th and short. But Atlanta can't do anything with it. So they can just rely on Younghoe Koo. Or not. Good offense? Do you expect that from an Arthur Smith team? His game plan involves a damn monkey banging cymbals. As Younghoe Koo somehow blew another kick. Oh no, you can't get bailed out by talent again. Poor Arthur. Given enough time and the Falcons' defense finally breaks. Rashad White in a long touchdown to give Tampa a 2-score lead. But that's not enough for Atlanta. They have to give the home crowd more false hope that perhaps they can win it again. Arthur Smith can escape his own incompetence because he actually used Bijan on a drive. The Buccaneers managed to move into field goal range, but not much more. And it's now a 5-point deficit for Atlanta. Cue the Bucs secondary turning into Swiss cheese. Todd Bowles isn't much better than Arthur, you know. Desmond Ridder does something somehow, and they get a touchdown. Life cannot end. I want to be free. Bad news for the Falcons fans in attendance. Do you know what Baker Mayfield does best? Pull up his big boy pants and lead a clutch touchdown drive. It's almost routine.
35 seconds. Mayfield to the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown.
The Bucs are going to win. This is the most hilarious outcome imaginable. Atlanta should have, at minimum, a 3-game lead on this division, but Arthur Smith is an idiot savant. Heavy emphasis on idiot. Tampa Bay, who had lost 6 of 7 before last week, now leads a living testament to relegation. Wow. This is Tank Division. This is art. Embrace the shit show. Well, this is gonna take a bit to sort out. Scriptwriters are generating so much hope that it could power a small town for years on end. A mediocrity carousel that'll make your head spin. The age of upsets brings us endless mosh pits. The NFC is even worse off. But we have a new #1 seed in San Francisco because Dallas has usurped the Eagles in the division lead for now. They're in second place. Detroit, despite their struggles as of late, have 3rd seed, which won't be in danger. That's because Tampa Bay is somehow leading Tank Division. The abomination we hoped would die. They'll have the right to host Philly in a wildcard game if things stand. With second wildcard, I don't know how, but the Vikings are in sole possession of it. 1 million explosions and somehow alive. Same as Green Bay in the wildcard spot that should not exist. A 5-way tie exists for the right to get slaughtered. The Rams, Seahawks, Falcons, and Saints are also in the mix for better or worse. And in the background, the Giants and Bears are kicking back laughing at how the hell they're only a game back of a dance ticket. Welcome to the mess, kids. We've got 4 games left. Only 1 spot's been clinched and 2 teams are out. Buckle up. Keep your hands inside at all times. And one more thing.
Don't get eliminated!
Rebuilding is a painful enterprise. The Packers may not be truly rebuilding, but the same principle applies. Only if they can manage to avoid the traps they fell into during the Aaron Rodgers era. No, the offense was far from the problem here. Jordan Love had himself a decent day. The real cancer is the terrorist overseeing the defense. Vanilla Joe Barry. If all of Green Bay had $1 for every time that defense gave up a 2nd or 3rd and long, everyone there would be a millionaire. All day long, the Bucs steamrolled whatever pathetic deployments were sent to allegedly stop something. They allowed Baker Mayfield to morph into a generational talent for one day. Baker Mayfield, a guy who had been owned here the last 2 seasons, is the first visiting player to put up a perfect QB rating at Lambeau. Over 450 yards of offense in a non-stop assault. That alone should have gotten Joe Barry fired 2 years ago, right? Perhaps they'll do something about it once they manage to stop a tumbleweed drifting in the wind. Or not give the Bucs a wide-open opportunity at a playoff spot. Well, look at the time. It's why haven't you fired Joe Barry at a clock? Another tick of the clock has passed. And while several teams have secured tickets to the dance, there is so much more at stake in this final stretch. The NFC is San Francisco's to lose. They stand alone for the number 1 seed right now, with Dallas, Detroit, and Philly having outside chances at it. In spite of a 3-game skid, Philly still controls their own destiny. If they and Dallas both win out, they will control the NFC East due to strength of schedule. The Cowboys are just hoping their rival keeps failing. The big scenario is tank division. Tampa Bay has the potential to run away with a spot due to a 3-game win streak. New Orleans is hot on their tail, but currently lose tiebreaker. Atlanta just keeps choking, so they're on the outside. Like in the AFC, there's a 4-way tie for 2 wildcard spots. Minnesota's in troubled waters, but still has the 6th seed. The LA Rams, after a Packers loss, now control the final spot. The Seahawks and Saints are also in the mix and are eager to steal a spot for their own. Behind them, Green Bay and Atlanta need a good bit of help now after their last 2 defeats. I wish you all good tidings and safe travels in this final week of 2023. Christmas season is hectic, but these holidays get more special with age. Enjoy your time with friends and family, cherish what you have in life, and do me one favor, please.
Don't get eliminated!
Jacksonville isn't just in panic mode anymore. They're simply dead. Stone cold, haphazardly buried in the ground with limbs sticking out necrotizing in the freezing air. I thought things were bad in Duval these past few weeks. Good lord, against Tampa Bay, everything's completely fallen apart. The offense destroyed. Their offensive line can't block anything on Twitter. Trevor Lawrence visibly injured and shouldn't be fucking playing. Defense, they made the Bucs revert back to world-beating form for a 2nd straight week, flinging flames from the ether to further secure tank division. Baker Mayfield ripped and tore the absolute shit out of a franchise in the revenge tour from hell. Chariots of fire rising from the ground carrying a harbinger of the apocalypse on a throne of skulls. And took out Trevor Lawrence's shoulder while riding around the field. Just let the dude rest. To call this a convincing win for the Bucs would imply that the Jags put forth any sort of effort. It didn't feel like they did at all. 4 straight losses. Jacksonville's only saving grace is that Houston and Indy both lost. And they play the Panthers next week. That's gonna be an easy win, won't it, Jacksonville? Won't it? 2 more weeks to go, yet we have solved next to nothing. A few more pieces have moved into position, but very little set in stone. 2 teams clinched, 2 more eliminated, yet there are still 10 more teams that need to be cut off from the pack. The NFC number 1 seed has a new wrinkle with San Francisco's loss. Philadelphia has a renewed chance to stake a claim for that title in spite of themselves. Detroit has it in their sights as well, but the Niners still control their own destiny in that regard. The NFC East is a simple proposition. An Eagles win or Cowboys loss in the next 2 weeks means Philly secures a home playoff game. And they play the Cardinals and Giants. Barring a hilarious collapse, it's theirs. Tank division at Tampa Bay further secure a home matchup against most likely Dallas. Atlanta and New Orleans are a game back, but their best shot of doing anything is in the wild card barring an implosion. The wild card spots, excluding Dallas, are now solely controlled by the Rams and Seahawks, with LA controlling tiebreaker. 1 game back are Minnesota, Atlanta, Green Bay, and New Orleans in mixed states of being. And then the Bears. Somehow not dead yet. We have 2 weeks left, and the purge will shortly commence. Make your preparations now, for there will only be one phrase chanted throughout the land.
Don't get eliminated!
Oh great, so the Saints finally bothered to show up for a crucial game. Am I supposed to be happy for them or something? They've been doing this kind of cock-trapping all year long. New Orleans gives us a game or 2 where they manage to not get in their own way. Everyone thinks this is finally the moment they get their shit together, and they respond by getting in their own way. Repeat this scenario about 4 times and you have the Saints season. A thoroughly complete and dominating win crushing their foes beneath them? Where the fuck has this been all year? The way they treated Tampa Bay, they should have won this division weeks ago. It merely shows the mercurial nature of the Bucs. They had a golden opportunity to claim a win and rest starters next week, but it turned into Baker and melted immediately. No contest. New Orleans just shit all over Tampa, setting the stage for 3 shitty teams to have a chance at the NFC South. When Tank Division starts to get bland and pointless, by God, it reels me back in. It's the uninspired dreck that feeds families. Now watch the Saints stay on brand and choke next week away. Things got much clearer and much more confusing at the same time. I don't know how that's possible, but we must accept this chaotic landscape known as reality. There were some clinchings, however, many scenarios must be cleared up. Philly did not perform, and as a result of their choke and other unnamed factors, Dallas now controls the NFC East. If they beat up on some commies once again, they will host home playoff games. If not, the door opens back up for the Eagles. But no guarantees. Tank Division is a hellscape. All 3 of Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Atlanta have a chance to claim its melted crown. The Buccaneers control their own destiny against an awful Carolina team, but if they somehow fail, the Saints or Falcons will drunkenly stumble into a home game as they play each other. There's only one wildcard spot left to claim, and it's the 7th seed that should not exist. Green Bay now controls their own destiny after Seattle lost, but they have to win against the Bears. If they fail, the door opens for rivals. The Seahawks will get first crack. If they also lose, New Orleans can take it. If they all fail, Minnesota gets the chance to defy fate itself. It's crunch time, boys. The final week is upon us. You've made it this far, but the cold reality is there are only so many spots available. Good luck, and may the gods smile upon you.
Don't get eliminated!
I finally have good news for the Carolina Panthers. It's over. The season from hell can no longer hurt you. Only the memory of it will bully you from within for time eternal. Wonder why no one in Charlotte gives a shit about this franchise? This game is an example of why. It's a fucking comedy sketch that Monty Python would have written up. Witness how you get a well-orchestrated pass from Bryce to DJ Chark, screaming down the far sideline, diving for the end zone, and then fumbling the ball away just before he crosses the plane. Tampa recovers. Don't worry, it's buy one failure, get more free today. Experience this great running play by Raheem Blackshear, sprinting for a touchdown, only to be undone by offensive holding. And then Bryce is strip sacked on the very next play, not scoring a single goddamn point in the final 2 games, reiterating absolute failure. Scott Fitterer is obviously losing his job, but you wish that David Tepper could be fired as well. He's the head of this cancerous hydra, and until you take him out, the Panthers are screwed. Tampa Bay played down to competition so hard you'd think they were in the 3rd circle of hell. But Carolina's just so bad that they won by all but default. Congrats to the Buccaneers on winning Tank Division, said no one whatsoever. It has been settled. A little more anticlimactic than usual, but sometimes conclusions are very underwhelming. Just ask Game of Thrones. The playoff matchups are now set in stone. In the AFC, Baltimore gets a first-round bye to go up against the trainees from Police Academy. Buffalo somehow secures the 2nd seed and a probable first-round bye since they're playing Pittsburgh at home. I'll laugh hysterically if they blow it. Kansas City managed to at least catch a 3rd seed against Miami, where Tyreek Hill is returning to where he honed his craft for years. Houston, in the shocker of the year, wins 4th seed. They'll be taking on Cleveland in the Deshaun Watson Bowl. Fortunately, without Deshaun Watson. The NFC is just as trashy if we're being honest. San Francisco gets first-round bye. Leading off the bad news bears, Dallas secures the 2nd seed. And a matchup against Green Bay. No bad experiences in previous playoff matches there, I'm sure. Detroit gets 3rd seed in the ultimate revenge match. Matthew Stafford coming home to lead the Rams against them. The winner of Tank Division, in spite of themselves, is Tampa Bay. And they'll have a legitimate chance of winning since the only thing Philadelphia can beat is themselves at this point. Prepare yourselves accordingly. This year's been a shit show and I anticipate much more of the same in the playoffs. Take care, and I'll see you for the haters, guys. This season was an acid trip. Instability and wonkiness in nearly every game imaginable. The year of the backup quarterback. In some cases, the 3rd stringer. Or further than that. The Shield wants to squeeze every dollar it can out of the game, and it's showing in the quality of play. Every team sucks, everyone's a fraud, the league's product is shit, and there are only about 2 or 3 teams that might be competent. Endless trash abound. Let's put the victims on stage and roast them over a fire. Well, somebody had to win that pathetic excuse of a division. Tampa Bay wasn't necessarily good over the year, they simply sucked less than everyone else, so they host a home playoff game. It's an inspiring story to see Baker Mayfield come back from the dead. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are still fucking amazing at what they do. Just focus on those features and ignore the awful secondary that Todd Bowles has repeatedly thrown under a bus all year. Or their total lack of a running game. They're squarely in the mid-tier of franchises, but the Bucs are somehow in better shape than last year's disaster run. It's much less chaotic this time around. Mostly off the field if you ignore Devin White. On it, they're mercurial as hell. This is a team that had lost 6 of 7 and was left for dead in the middle of the year. Do we get that group or the one that rallied to win 5 of 6? Answering that question will dictate their future moving forward. Probably underneath the boot of one of the NFC elite. When you reach that final gauntlet, you have to find that extra gear. Despite how it may look on the surface, considering this year has been full of unpredictability on any given Sunday, I'm expecting some rather unusual results. I look forward to the memes. And yes, I know none of you are looking forward to this next segment. So who do I curse with the jinx this time around? Should be easy, but I'm starting to overthink this because why go after the obvious picks? It feels like it's bait. I don't know why, but it's gonna lure me into a trap. Knowing how every team has glaring flaws, I'm just gonna say Cowboys versus Chiefs. Why? Because nothing makes any goddamn sense. Just roll with it. I'm trying to as well, boys. 2 words best describe these playoffs. Fuck you. Fuck your feel-good stories. Fuck your narratives, and especially fuck likability. That shit doesn't get you to the promised land. Wins do. It's been a playoffs full of blowouts and humiliation, but it marches on all the same. Nearly everyone's pissed at the outcome. You know what to do. Start mining salt. Another situation where you can't really fault a team for falling short of the main goal. Tampa Bay played hard and it turned into an offensive shootout led by 2 men cast aside by the teams that picked them. And at the end of the day, the Lions were simply the better team. No matter what the Buccaneers tried to do to one-up their opponent, it wasn't enough. Baker did well. He's gonna earn a lot of money that should have been paid to him by Cleveland. But with their defense unable to stop a tumbleweed, there was no chance in hell. Now the question moves on to Mike Evans. Was this his final game here? Will they get outbid for Baker in the offseason? For a team that had roughly $80 million in dead cap this year, this was a solid showing, but this offseason should be interesting for them. Your punishment is keeping Todd Bowles. Take the playoff win and run with it.